Good morning, Year 6, and happy World Book Day. Today is the Thursday, the 4th of March, 2021, and in our lesson today, we are going to retrieve and infer. So these are skills that we already know. So it is a skills lesson where we are going to apply that knowledge to our learning. Now, as I said, it is World Book Day today, and we have been celebrating for the whole week by learning about fables. So we're going to recap that today, but I also want to remind you to go on to YouTube and have a look at all of the recordings on there of the adults around the school reading some of their favourite books, and see if you can do some accelerated reader quizzes on these as well. I want to see your accuracy and word counts going through the roof as we celebrate the fantastic books that we have available to us all. Okay, but back to today's lesson. We're going to apply learnt skills with mixed practice questions on our class fable, The Miller, His Son, and the Donkey. But first of all, can you remind me, what is a fable? Pause the screen and have a think, and then we'll talk through some ideas. Okay, so what were the ingredients for a fable? What did it need to include? Fantastic. It has 2 to 3 animal characters, doesn't it? Animal characters. And what is special about these animal characters? What do they have that animals we see in day-to-day life do not have? Fantastic. The animals have human traits. A bit like when we're using personification in our writing, our animals have human traits. They act like humans, or they talk and maybe have a personality. Okay. With one of those animals, they often have a weakness. So one has a weakness. Just like in the hare and the tortoise has a weakness of being slow. Okay, so we also have a hero and a villain. Now, it's not a villain as in a really, really mean person necessarily, but there is good and bad in the story. Okay, so we have a villain. What's one of the most important features of a fable that makes it a fable? Superb. It has a moral, that lesson right at the end of the story that people can take away from it and use in their day-to-day life. Okay, can you think about the setting of a fable? Where does it take place? Well done. Settings are outside. Okay, we don't have fables that take place in castles or inside a house. They are often outside. Okay, now I hope we haven't missed any off, but if we have, you can email in and tell me off. Okay, but let's get going. Let's remind ourselves of our success criteria. So if we're answering a mixed range of questions today, we're going to need to read the text carefully and use text marking and highlighting. We're going to read the questions carefully so that we understand what the question is asking us, and we can do that by highlighting the key words. We need to look at how many marks the question is for, and this will help us with constructing our answer appropriately. Okay, and then when we've got those keywords, we can skim and scan to find those words in the text and read above and below it to get our answers. Okay, so let's get going. This Aesop's fable is called The Miller, His Son, and the Donkey. "Fetch our old donkey," the miller said to his son one day. "We're taking him to market. We need money, and we've nothing else to sell." The son ran to the stable where the donkey was kept. He threw a halter over its neck, and the donkey wasn't happy. "Grumpy old thing," said the son as he led the donkey out of the stable. "I'm not sorry we're selling you." "I'm not sorry either," brayed the donkey. "When was the last time you gave me a carrot?" We won't ride him, said the miller. It'll be easier to sell him if he's not tired. They led the donkey down the street towards the town. Hey, you! A man shouted suddenly. Why don't you ride the donkey? That's what it's for, another man hollered. The crowd began to laugh. The miller hated to be laughed at. Get up, son, he said. The son climbed up onto the donkey's back. At least it's a smaller one, the donkey grumbled as he felt the son's weight on his back. Something to be grateful for, I suppose. But they hadn't travelled far before they passed 3 merchants, whispering and shaking their heads. What is the world coming to? The miller heard one of them say. Get down, young man, let your master ride the donkey. The miller thought he had better do as they had said. Hop down, lad, and help me up, he said to his son. So the son climbed down and helped his father clamber up. Hee-haw, grumbled the donkey as the miller landed on his back. What a lump! Worse than a sack of potatoes. His back was hard and bony. The miller wasn't sorry when they reached the gates of the town. A group of girls were standing there, bags and baskets in their hands. The miller pulled on the donkey's halter. Whoa, he said. Let the ladies through first. Caw, look at that poor boy, one of the girls said, seeing the son lead the donkey, the father on top. His master should let him ride too, lazy thing. The miller was a bit cross, but he liked to please. Get up behind me, son, he said. What, both of you at once? The donkey screeched. I'm an old donkey. Eeyore! Look at that poor creature, a woman said as the donkey crawled slowly along the road, head drooping. 2 of them on his back. And one of them so big, said her friend. They should be carrying it. Yes, they're right, thought the miller, and climbed down. Get down, son. We'll carry him between us. They tied the donkey's legs to a pole, the donkey slung between them. Now they know what it's like to be a donkey, carrying great loads all day, he thought, as the miller and his son stumbled down the street. The townspeople had never seen such a sight before. They ran out of their houses to watch. Don't they look silly? They laughed. The donkey hated to be laughed at. He pushed and he pulled, trying to free himself. Slowly, the ropes that bound him began to loosen. One more heave, he gasped as they stumbled up to the bridge. And with a final tug and a kick, he was free. Over the bridge he tumbled. Down, down, down he fell. Splash! Into the river below. He thrashed and brayed, but there was nothing he could do. Eeyore! Eeyore! He cried. Eeyore! The miller watched helplessly as his donkey was swept away. Silly me, he said, as he and his son trudged homewards. By trying to please everyone, I have lost my donkey, and now I have nothing left to sell. Okay. So we're going to move on to do our quiz now, our comprehension of mixed questions. So if you feel like you don't need any further support, you can now head on over to Teams, where you will find the questions in the form of a quiz. Some might look a little bit different to this, but they are exactly the same questions. If you feel like you would like a little bit more support, we will do a couple together, and then we will highlight the key words together to help you with the quiz. You will find the text in Teams files. Okay, so let's look at that first question together. Where were the miller and his son taking the donkey? So we've got the question word where, and we want to know where they were taking the donkey. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to look here with taking him to the market. So I've looked for the word taking, that's my key word. I've found it. I'm going to read that full sentence. We're taking him to market. Okay, now because this is a quiz, you don't need to write in a full sentence. It's where were the miller and his son taking the donkey? They were taking him to market. Now, if you were writing in your book, you would write a full sentence if you didn't have this sheet and you were just copying an answer into your book from a question somewhere else. But as the question is there, you don't need to write in a full sentence. They were taking him to market. The second question has got why at the start. That means we need to give a reason. So why were they going? Why were they going there? Let's look back. So it's related to the first question. So it's going to be around the same area. We're taking him to market. We need money and we've nothing else to sell. So from that, we can tell that they are going to sell the donkey to make money. Okay, or just to sell the donkey. Okay, let's have a look at a couple more questions with regards to finding the keywords, and then you can carry on yourself. Okay, so the next one, names. You're going to write something, a way the miller tried to make it easier to sell the donkey. So you're going to look at how, you're going to name a way, something the miller did to try and make it easier to sell. The next one, who were the merchants disappointed with? Now, it might not say the words disappointed, but we know that we are looking at the merchants. So I would scan the text until you find the word merchants and see who they weren't very happy with, who they think were doing something wrong. And then you're going to tick one. Okay, so it's one of these answers. Okay, let's look at that next one. Why did the donkey liken, to say it was the same as the old man, to a sack of potatoes? So this bit here is in the text. Okay, I remember reading that, the sack of potatoes. So that's the bit you're going to find, and you're going to read above and below to find the answer. Why did he say that the man was like a sack of potatoes? Okay, so that's a part of your support. So I'm going to show you a further 10 questions for you to have a go at, and I look forward to seeing how you get on. Here we go. Questions 6 to 9. Pause the screen, try your best, read the questions really carefully. Make sure you pick out those key words. Questions 10 to 13. And questions 14 and 15. Okay, well done, Year 6. I will see you again tomorrow.